Hello everyone, hello everyone. Uh, Let me see if I'm coming in live. I'm back again and I am excited to be here. So today I have another treat, another training, and I cannot wait to get into it. I had the same situation from the last live where I couldn't start the live with the same link that was posted for the schedule. I thought I had that sorted, but obviously there's still some issues there. So the link that I sent out for all the invites are it's not, that's not the link that's working currently. But we're still going to continue, plug in and chug along. I just want to make sure that I have everything set up for you. I thought I fixed this issue, but no. The link wasn't good, and I tried Prism, and that still didn't really give me what I was looking for. But anyway, making sure if anybody's in the room, please send me a note. Let me know that if my sound is okay, if I'm coming in okay, if it's too dark here, I could adjust the lighting. And we're just going to start. There's a delay. I'm looking at myself, but please give me a sign telling me whether or not we have good sound here, because I really don't want you guys to miss anything at all, because today is going to be very special. As the title state, we're going to get deeper into the shadow self, what you need, and how to face it. And most importantly, an added bonus to that is thank you, an added bonus to that is to also go deeper into the elemental balances in your chart and how that plays out and how it shows in your shadows. For those of you who are not in a place where you could go and work with someone one-to-one, get a coach, or and you are self-starters and you want to get on the journey, you don't want to wait, those will be good tools for you that would help you get the journey started. In the end, that's what we want. We want to get the journey started. All right. So a brief recap from last training that I have. And mind you, I don't know how long I'm gonna keep those training on, because eventually I would take them down and put them in the current training that I have going on, the course that I have that is a 4-week course training. Or I was debating whether I should just make it a series by itself and a new class and a new course that you could get separately. But for now, enjoy it and watch it, and let's get started. So recap from the last conversation that we had about the shadow. The shadow is where we hide our insecurities, our vices, the things that we hate about ourselves, the aspects of us that remains unloved, remain unseen, remain neglected and rejected. The part of us that we were told is not inappropriate, we were reprimanded for, and well, technically the part of us, the aspects of us that we dislike, everything about us that we dislikes, we dislike. We also hide there our fetishes, our goals and our dreams, our dark nature, our dark desires, the things that are taboo, the things that are that you don't want people to know about you, because they would kind of shift the perspective, they would shift the way somebody sees you. So you were told and made, whether by your parents, by the people around you, what you observed when you were a child, because as you were building that identity, you kind of, for survival, because you wanted to fit in, because you wanted to have community, you wanted to be loved, you wanted to be appreciated and feel part of a group, you have kind of dimmed the light on those things, and then they go to the recessive part of your brain, and sometimes you completely forget they are there, and they become the unseen, they become the unconscious, and those things, they never really go away. They are lurking in the shadows. Sometimes it's a hostile takeover. the shadow would rear its ugly head, and it would be a moment where you'd feel completely out of control. You'd feel almost, yeah, it's like you're overrun by whatever aspect of the shadow that you're dealing with at the time. And we also mentioned that the shadow also holds your gifts, your wisdom. The shadow aspect, that's where all your untapped potentials are sitting there, laying dormant, waiting for you to access them. Unfortunately, before you could get to the point where you could access the wisdom of the shadow, the gift of the shadow, you have to travel on that on that journey. It's like a maze in your subconscious that you have to walk through and navigate for those who have the desire to do that sort of work. And honestly, I find it takes a certain level of discomfort. It takes a level of pain. It takes a level of, okay, something is wrong. Uh, if you don't have full awareness of exactly what's going on, but at least you know that you need to do something. People who actually venture on the path of doing shadow work and inner work is because they know something's off. They are seekers. They're looking for a way to change something. So in that search, they stumble on shadow work, and voila, you have all this discovery and all this unfolding, all this revealing, all these layers that you have to peel so you could reveal yourself to yourself. Let me see. Okay, so there is this saying by Carl Jung. It says, I'd rather be whole than good. I'd rather be whole than good. So I really like that saying, because my understanding of it really, for me, is I'd rather bring together all aspects of myself, all aspects of me, the good, the bad, the ugly, the stuff that I deny. I bring all of me together instead of instead of being this fragmented soul, scattered in the wind, so you could fit in someone else's notion of good, someone else's understanding of good, someone else's idea or the societal idea of good. I'd rather be whole than good. That wholeness, I think Carl Jung was referring to, is it's like, instead of being good according to someone else's version of what goodness is to be good according to whatever how do I say that? Whatever expression of the divine that I am, and be good at that. Whatever Daphne is, be good at being this. Be good at being yourself. It's like, if you are I guess an example would be, instead of saying I'm a good woman, I know it's twisted, but instead of being I'm a good woman, you could say I'm good at being a woman, according to what a woman is to me, according to what type of woman I am. I'm born to be, my quirks, my gifts, my temper, my dislikes, my pet peeves, my vices, my nature. All right. So that was a little recap from that last. So you could note, if you stumble on this and you haven't watched the first broadcast, the first live, I just wanted to kind of bring you up to speed, so you could, we're all on the same page as I progress along. So you could follow me onward. All right. So for this next phase, I really want to talk about, before I get to how to unmask the shadow, because that's the reason why we're here. We're trying to learn how to unmask the shadow. For those of us who want to do this on our own, for those of us who want to start learning and study, so you want to do this on your own. So I'm giving some information out there that would hopefully be of service to you. So what will you need in order to face the shadow aspect of you, in order to unmask that shadow? Well, you're not yet at unmasking, but you need to be ready to facing it. It's almost like you don't wake up today and you're like, okay, I'm gonna put my shoes on, I'm gonna put my workout clothes on, and I'm just heading on for the marathon. It doesn't happen that way. Usually you start a journey of preparedness. You start having some sort of training. You start testing your boundaries. You start pushing your bodies to some limits. You start slow, and then you build endurance, and then you go further and further and further and further with the marathon in mind and what will be expected of you and the demand that is going to take on your body, what will be required of your mentality, your focus to fit to get to see it through the end, to see it to the end. So taking on an inner work journey of unmasking the shadow it requires some doing. It's not one of those easy things that you do when you're eating popcorn and no, it requires extreme focus. So for you to even venture there, there's a moment of preparedness. You have to mentally prepare yourself. You're going to embark on a journey to self. You're going to embark on a journey of discovery. You're going to have to face yourself. You're going to need first commitment to being honest with yourself. Ooh. It's not as easy, and I'm speaking from experience. I'm speaking from the perspective of someone who actually started this journey since back in 2007 when I first stumbled on that sort of level of inner work, and it was the first time for me. I'm speaking from that perspective. It takes some doing, and I didn't jump on it either because I was like, "Oh, that was too much for me, too deep, too much. I'm not ready." Otherwise, you're going to start and you're gonna run, and it would be you won't get too far. You would just kind of give up because you don't have the mentality. Because as of yet, you don't have the support yet. So first thing you're going to need. Put my little notes closer to me. The first thing you're going to need is to be honest with yourself. You're going to commit to having the deepest level of transparency with yourself, because at the end of the day, as I mentioned before in the previous broadcast, it is an inside job. You're going to have to go to the ringer with yourself. Those layers that you're going to peel, those are you against you, the me, myself, and I. And if you want to understand what I mean by that, you might have to watch the first video on the series. Okay? And it could get uncomfortable. So you're going to have to be okay with being honest, being transparent, and being okay with being uncomfortable. You're going to have to be able to dwell in discomfort for a while. That was the first one. The second one is another somewhat uncomfortable thing to do. That's why I start with, being okay with honesty, transparency, and discomfort. Otherwise, I'd be lying to you if I didn't start there. The second thing is you're going to have to be okay and prepare yourself mentally to take a journey backward. Because you're going to have, at some point in the journey, trace your triggers, trace whatever you're feeling from the original story, the set point, the inception of it. That requires you to go back and dig in the past, and the shadow does not want to be revealed. The shadow doesn't want to die, because for you to bring it out from where it's hiding in the subconscious, it has to die. I remember I made that video, the video that says, I think it was a betrayal and trigger to, it's that vampire that's sucking at your blood that you need to bring light to it. Sunlight kills it. So when you bring light to that aspect of you, until then, it's in fear, it's hiding, it doesn't want to be found. Okay, so the shadow is going to wrestle with you a little bit. But for you to go back to the original story, that means you're going to have to remember, and maybe having sometimes go experience those emotions that are unpleasant, experience those memories that are unpleasant, because for you to you might have to retrace back to the original story where it first started. Okay, you're gonna have to go see things from a child's perspective. Whatever it is that is coming up for you, you have to be ready to see it from different levels. An example I have of that, and I have more another good reference for what I'm saying is that video that I made about a while back called self-intimacy. You will have to trace back from your childhood. I remember for me when I was doing that work way back when, and that's what when I was going through my relationship with my mother, which was at the time we were not in good terms and we had some stuff going on between us. I remember that journey backwards helps me see her. I had to see her again, how I saw her as a child. The child version of me that didn't understand, that didn't have compassion. It just wasn't in my nature at that time. I didn't have the mindset, the understanding for it as a child to process and understanding the struggle of an adult mother. I had to relieve that in my child. I had to bring healing to that child version of me who had issues with my mom at that time, right? And then after that, I had to see myself, see the situation, see my mother from the perspective of the adult that I am right now, who is also a mother, who has been married, who I was married at that time, so I haven't, at that time I didn't go to divorce yet and remarry, but I was married and I went to childbirth, and I had made some sacrifices for my family as well at that time. And I understood a few things better. When the shadow came up, I was willing to backtrack a little bit to see that child who still need healing, no matter what the adult version of me think right now, and the understanding that I have in my brilliant perspectives. The child who was 7, 8, 10, 12, 13 still needs to be heard, still needs to be freed, still need healing, still need a hug, still need to be reconciled with the adult that I am now. So that's what I'm talking about. So the second part of what you will need is to be willing to take an exploration to the original story of whatever pain, whatever shadow that is coming up for you. Okay, the third one, that was a long explanation. The third one is be willing to observe yourself. Be willing at first, even because remember, you're preparing. That is still the marathon. We're preparing for the marathon. We're not in it yet. You just prepare. I just want you to know what the expectation is. Okay? Be willing to observe yourself. Become a self-observer without the judgment. Now that's the part that's gonna be harder, because while you're doing the observation, you have to not judge yourself. It's almost like you're watching yourself behaving. You're watching yourself. It's like, I wonder why I did that. Oh my God, this person pissed me off. Oh my God, I snapped this time. Look how I reacted. Observe yourself and just be amazed with the things that trigger you, that you have been unaware of for so long. You're gonna have to watch your patterns, watch your behaviors, like a movie sometimes. It requires some healthy disconnection, some healthy dissociation for you watching yourself. Like it's almost like watching yourself from above, like, wow, Daphne, you went batshit crazy on this person. You were a complete ass. Look what you said. Look how you treated him. Did you, it's like, wow, amazing. Why did you do that? I cannot believe you did that. Like, be amazed with yourself. Watch yourself. Just be your own case study. Be the star of your own show at this point. You're watching yourself for now. Just do that for a few days, for a week, for a month, until you're ready, because you're gonna have to, because self-awareness, that's bringing you self-awareness. Okay. And because also when you see that, because you're standing over here, you're watching yourself doing that, you don't have at the moment, you're not really necessarily getting too deep into feeling every pain, every trigger, everything else, because you're watching yourself from it's the observer effect. Okay. It's because at the end of the day, the journey to the journey to the shadow, it's not necessarily an intellectual process. It's a journey from the head to the heart. Okay. So when you get deep into it, for now, we're preparing for the marathon. The journey is like, oh my God, consciousness, awareness. I'm looking at myself. I'm seeing myself, But then eventually, when you get in the process, you're going to have to feel those emotions, because you're in it now. You are trying to integrate everything, and you're feeling it through your body, through your senses. Okay? Your arms and hands are before you get to your heart. Right? Your ears, okay, your throat, your expression, so all that. All right. And so you're committed to discovery. You have to be committed to watching yourself, okay, to discover yourself, and dedicated to owning yourself, owning your shit. Because when you're observing, that's the fourth one. When you're observing, after you observe yourself for a while, you're gonna be like, man, that was, excuse my French, that was fucked up. What you did. Because you're gonna watch yourself now. I'm no longer, you're not necessarily looking at this other person who's being nice, but you're looking at yourself, reacting. You're getting more in tune to what you're capable of. You start watching yourself. You watch your darkness at play. So that way nobody has to tell you what it is. You're just watching yourself. So just a brief recap. I'm done with that. So what you're going to need to be honest with yourself. You need to be honest, transparency, and okay with being uncomfortable. Number 2 would be, you need to start tracing back the original story. Be okay looking back a little bit. Be okay to dig into the past for a moment and see things from different perspective, from the adult, from the perspective, and the child's perspective. And the third one would be observing your patterns and behavior. Become aware of how you react. You start becoming aware of your triggers too. You become aware. And then you commitment to self-reflection, to see yourself through those lenses. Because when you start seeing yourself from over there, you're watching yourself, this is, believe it or not, this is how others see you. They see you like that too. Because until then, you're so in it, you're so close, you don't see yourself. From watching yourself with a little bit of healthy dissociation, you could see your behaviors, you could see yourself better. And the last one would be owning your behavior, owning your shit. Watching yourself and go like, wow, this is me. Wow, I didn't know. And the trick is to do all that without the judgment. All right, so the next one will be how to unmask the shadow. That's what you are waiting for, right? How to unmask the shadow. Man, this is becoming a very fun. I'm excited just talking about it. Okay, how to unmask the shadow. Before I get into the elemental aspect of things, I'm going to tell you. Naturally, I will tell you to be with a coach. A coach is gonna get you there faster, and I do that level of work. I have coaching packages. I have a training. If you don't want to work one-to-one, you could do the training packages where it was a group of women learning together. It is really women-centered. So I think if you are a man watching this broadcast and you want to do this training, a shadow work training, I would right now I'm blinking out. I would say there is a very nice book that I guess my husband would attest that it's a good book. It's called Men's Work by, I don't remember who. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, put the author. It's Men's Work. Do a quick Google search and drop it in the chat. Anyway, Men's Work. I think that's the name of the book. I remember the author, but if you are men, that would be more the line of work that would be for you. But my work is more for women. So I have a course that is a 4 weeks transformational course for you that helps you unearth all these things. It's designed to take you to the levels week by week by week by week with support. And you could do that with you could do the training with a coaching package, or you could do it separately, or you can do sessions, because I have a single sessions. If you're processing one single thing and you want help with that, I'm available for that. Okay, now that's the first thing. The second thing would be for you to work with a therapist. That's another option. Working with therapists is very, very beneficial. I have had therapy before. I remember the very first time I've ever had therapy, because I've always worked with coaches because they get me there faster. And there are things that you're processing. A therapist would actually help you go over the hump. Like especially if you're talking about sexual trauma and stuff like that, a lot of things that like PTSD, a lot of things that are more psych oriented, you probably need to talk to, actually be with a therapist that would help you, has specialties in that particular issues that you're trying to work with. But that could take you years of therapy. That could take you a lot of money and a long extended it could be a very long extended process for you. Okay, it's just longer. Okay, and the next thing would be for you to get on the journey by yourself. For those of you who are brave, that's what I did. When I first started inner work, I didn't have, later on, a few years in, I started working with mentors and coach and stuff like that helped me through the blocks and stuff. But in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, financially, I was not in a position where I could hire someone to coach with me, to coach. And I didn't really get training, but I really was somebody who was curious, and I was engaged, and I wanted to do this process and learn on my own at first. And I went through self-help books. And at the end of this broadcast, I'm going to give you a list of books that you could go for that will give you some direction if you're somebody who doesn't mind reading a few books and get to it. Okay? So you would have to do a little bit of self-study depending on where you are financially, and if you cannot really get into that at the time. Okay? So number one was do inner work with a coach, or get a training program. I have both. Get sessions. I have that. Or you could go to somebody else, because you have to find the right person for you. It's one of those things. It's like finding a therapist. You have to find the right one. And the second one would be to work with a therapist. It's longer. It could be a long extended process, of endless therapy before you get a breakthrough. But I have done therapy before, especially when I was going through a divorce, where I needed help to get me over a few things, and I did have therapy, and it worked for me brilliantly. So do that. The third one would be self-help books. I'm gonna have some more information for you at the end. I'm gonna give you a list of books at the end of the broadcast. Now, the part that I've been wanting to tell you more about, that will kind of give you more direction in how to start the process of unmasking the shadows from a different angle, would be from your elemental nature. So if you're watching me right now and you want to know what that is, I'm encouraging you to go to, you could go on Google and you could search for find my dominant element, or what would be, hold on, let me see. Let me find the exact wording for you. Yeah, find anything like dominant element in my chart. You're gonna have a bunch of websites. I like Astro Team, because Astro Team is straightforward. You just plug in your date of birth and your birth stuff, and it tells you the percentage of what you have in your elements. So the elements are air, fire, earth, water. We're going to go with the 4 elements. And in different disciplines, they would consider ether, which is, I'm all about that, but I'm not talking about that here. And also in other disciplines, they would consider metal as another element. But for the purpose of this training, we're going to stick to the 4 elements that is more relatable to the human nature and the human body. Okay, so once you find out what your elemental nature is, you can start seeing what your shadows are according to what your dominant element is, because your triggers will show up differently, your shadows will show up differently. Now when you start, as I go along, it will piece it together. And if you can, maybe later on you could go to those websites. I will put some links at the bottom when I'm done, so you could click on those links and find. There's 2 of them that I prefer, that will give you the information that you need for that particular part. Okay, so when you are triggered, so I'm going to talk about a little bit about trigger. When you are triggered, you are in a state of storm. You are that's like it's somebody bumping into the mask, or somebody yanking the mask, and the mask is freaking out because it's trying to stay on, it's trying to stay hidden. And your nature, the way you react, your dominant element is great as revealing and unmasking yourself to yourself until you start working with someone and do that one-to-one with a coach. Astrology also has a very big markers of how you can find that out for yourself. Okay, so when your shadow is activated, it's a very hostile environment. As I said before, you feel like it's like a hostile takeover, where you just suddenly feel overrun by your emotion, by whatever it is that you are going through. But it would reflect the most once you understand your element. That's why it's very important for you to get that chart going, so you know what percentage. Some people are pretty balanced, and some people you could see a more dominant. Now the thing is, we all have the 4 elements, just in all aspects of our life. Just one is always dominant. Okay, so storm. What I mean by stormy weather, what is a storm? According to definition, because I've been giving definition, it's a violent disturbance in the atmosphere with strong wind, air, unusual rain, water, thunder, lightning. Those refer to earthquake and fire, because when you have lightning, half the time it causes fire, it sparks, right? So that's the definition. And snow is still water, changing of temperature. So let's start first with air. So once you do the chart and you find your dominant, let's say air is your dominant element. So how would the shadow appear? Oh, hold on a second. My computer is doing something funny. Okay, great. Okay, how would your shadow appear if you are you have a dominant air element? So when you have a dominant, for this I'm gonna go because I have some notes here. For you, when you have dominant air element, you have misconception, skewed perceptions, because it's your air is your Mercury in your chart, is how you process things, is your thought processes. These people are overstimulated mentally. These people have difficulty focusing. You could find ADHD, ADD, and those categories where you just simply cannot focus on anything you see. You're overstimulated all the time. And sometimes these people would have issues with insomnia, because the computer won't shut down. Right? And you cannot process information, you can't listen, you can't really understand, because if you think of the computer, when the computer has a virus, because like the shadow, right, and it's lagging, it's running slow. It's not the time for you to download a new program. You see what I mean? The best thing you could do is put a antivirus software, or at the very least, shut it down and reboot it. So it's pretty much the same way it works for people who have a dominant air element when they are triggered, or when they are in this, not necessarily triggered, when they're in the state of storm, when the shadow is about to reveal itself. Okay. And excessive mental chatter. You have the situation. And let me see. Another thing that is very common when the air dominant element is in a state of a storm, they have they have either either high expectation or low expectation or no expectation, and because they can't really project on properly what they want from somebody, because the mental process is off, is skewed. All right. Now, another thing I want you to remember, when you have the stormy weather, it could be the shadow showing itself or the weapon of the shadow. So it could be what you do to yourself, what appears in yourself, or what you do to someone else when your shadows show up. Ooh, I'll get more into that. Okay, so if you're going for astrology, for those of you who want to go at this alone, look to your Mercury in your natal chart. Find out what sign it's in and what house it's in. That will give you a more understanding. If you are somebody with a dominant air energy, you need to be more aware of what's going on with your Mercury in your chart. Now, remember I said the shadow also contains your gifts. So when you integrate that aspect of you, when you become whole and you bring balance, you bring healing to the shadow aspect of your air element that was in a state of storm, you have certain gifts that would come up for you. Clear understanding, clear communication, good listening, somebody who is a good natured, good humor, adaptable, flexible, somebody who's open-minded, and also somebody who could be a good teacher, because the mercurial per people have a lot of information. They are collectors and of information. They have data, and they could organize that in a way to teach it to other people for the highest and greatest good. So that could make you a good teacher. So moving on to, if you are someone who is, let's say the dominant element of you is fire. Ooh, that's where I come from. That's my issue. So my dominant elements are fire, and then I have water that's very, very close, because I'm like a bit of both. When you are in a state of storm, when your shadow is about to show up, okay, when you're triggered, okay, these people have anger. And I have mentioned before in the previous video, when I was younger, I struggled with having anger. I was always an angry child, always raging. And because of my water nature, I was also very emotional. Okay, so those are people who are, you either implosive or you explosive. You brewing inside, or you just go on someone on someone else. You have a lot of aggression, and depending on how, and when we're talking about the fire element, you have to watch your Mars. Watch your Mars. Find out where your Mars. Have a better understanding of your Mars in your natal chart to see how it's working out. And if you know more about astrology, that would probably be more helpful to you, because in that same topic, I would say if Mercury is sitting in the house with Mars, that would make you you would curse like a sailor, with Mars sitting there with Mercury. You'd have a very potty mouth. All right. So anyway, these people are thrill seekers. Sometimes they could be adrenaline junkies. They could be pleasure seekers. They could start sexually acting out. They could, those are people who hit. They hit. Those are people who are always starting bar fight. Those are people who, they are addicted to pain, because they when the anger in them come up, so it's almost like the outlet is is Mars, is weaponry. And if these people have some real psychological issues and they have some psych issues that is undetected, those people will be the people who become cutters. They will be self-harmers. Those are people who are punching walls, until their fists bleed. Okay? But remember what I said, that could be the shadow itself, the behavior of the shadow within you, what you do to yourself, or the weapon of the shadow. You see where I'm going with this? So if you're sometimes you use that as a weapon. If somebody likes to hit and then you like getting in a bar fight, you might be redirecting that shadow to someone else. That's your weapon. Or if you're in a relationship and your anger is out of whacking, and this is how you make yourself feel dominant in your relationship or the people around you, so you could be big and bold, you're using your anger as a weapon. It goes both sides. So the wisdom of the shadow and the fire element would be for you to you become a very good leader. You become assertive. You become decisive. You have good determination. Okay, you're someone who has valor. You have confidence. Okay, you're a passionate person. Okay, the reason why I mentioned that the fire energy, when it's off, when it's in stormy weather, sometimes it's pleasure seekers, sexual behaviors are not very far off, is because in mythology, the only god that could tame Mars was the goddess Venus. So when you are angry, when they are angry, the other way that they could counter that when they're looking for that break would be pleasure seeking, sex, porn, all the things that is destructive. Okay. All right. So moving on, because this is getting long, I want to keep it under an hour. And okay, so water. Okay. So another thing too I wanted to mention before I go to water for the fire element. Remember, it's like if you watch a flame, it dances. These people in the negative, when you are in that shadow aspect, when you are in the triggered aspect, when you're in the state of storm, you burn everything to the ground. Everything you touch turns to dust. The flame is erratic, it's unpredictable, it's out of control. But if you're watching in a positive light, if you're watching a flame, it dances. These people also have the ability to experience great joy when they bring light to that shadow, when they integrate that shadow, when they heal that aspect of themselves. Okay, moving on to water. I have a lot of water, you guys. And so when you are in a state of storm, when you are murky, when your temperatures are off, your waters are unstable. And water, because of its nature, it could be hot or cold, and both of them could be destructive in their own way. All right, and you could be flooded with emotions. You become emotionally overwhelmed. And another way your darkness could show is because when you're in storm, or when your shadows are in control, you're unrealistic. Your head's in the cloud. You're not making any sense. You're cloudy. You're murky. Okay, your perceptions are off. And if you the other way, if you're looking at the cold temperature, you're stagnant. You're rigid. You become almost like earth. Okay, and if you're talking medically and stuff like that, that's where you see psychosis, hallucinations, and dissociation, that sort of thing. Because at the end of the day, the escape that you're looking for is trying to look and connect with the divine. And the wisdom of the water element when you integrate your shadow, because remember, the shadow has gifts for you. When you integrate your shadow, you become spiritual, you become benevolent, you become you have a strong connection to the divine. You're a bit of a psychic. You are the benevolent occultist who understand the right hand path, the left hand path, and how to play along with these energies in a way that is balanced. You know, and if you into the occultism and mysticism, you know what I'm talking about when I say right hand path and left hand path. You know, black magic, light magic, um, uh, dark magic, white magic, that sort of thing. If this is for you, I've said too much on that subject. And you know how to walk that middle path and become equanimous, equanimity, as they would say in the Buddhist and Buddhism. Okay, and you become very emotionally aware, and you have emotional depth, and you are compassionate. So moving on to, I believe that is the last one. That would be Earth. Okay, so if you have your dominant aspect is Earth, and you are overrun by your shadows, or your shadow is in a state of storm and it's showing its ugly head, you are difficult, you are resentful, you're not moving forward. Those are the people, strangely enough, that could have broken bones, stiffness in areas of their body, because you're not moving forward. The body keeps the score. The body has its way of showing you where your stagnation is. Oh, I'm gonna give you books where you could look into that. Okay. I remember there was a time in my life when I was in college and I really wasn't too sure what my degree was, and I just felt stuck, that I was like useless and stuff like that. I went to that. It was the time that I actually broke my ankle. That had a meaning that I had to find out. I broke my ankle and I couldn't walk for a month. Okay, your body, sometimes, you know, you keep the pain. The body keeps the score. The pain in the body reveals it, it speaks to you. Anyway, I'll give you where to go to kind of explore that a little bit. Okay, and another thing that is very prevalent with the earth dominant, the dominant earth element is shame. Shame is when you feel like you did something wrong. Embarrassment is when you feel like you let someone down. And you have humiliation. Humiliation is when you do not live up to your own expectation of yourself. Okay, so they have issues with that. And when you're in a state of shadow, you feel shame, you feel embarrassed, you are in a state of fear. A good place to look for to see how the earth shadows show up for you if you're dominant, look to your Saturn. The Saturn is your limiting belief, is your restriction, is your shadow, is your challenges, is your struggle in life, is the thing that you have to work hard at. Okay, these people have difficulty processes loss, grief, you know, because once that happens, they close their heart, and when you close your heart, you stop growing. These people could be in a state when they're like this. The shadow could show up where they're not productive in any way. They can't keep a job, their business are failing, their marriage are failing, divorce is happening because they have used these as weapons. These people could give you a silent treatment as punishment. They could completely ignore you as a punishment. So even though that could show up to them as their own shadow, but this could also be their weapon. Okay. Another thing that that could happen too, because of the earth nature, the rigidity, these people could have numbness. They're numb, unfeeling. They can't feel shit. You know, disconnected. You could have your emotion. They're looking at you, what's up with you? Because they full stop. They cut themselves off because they just don't want to feel. They do not want to express. Hence the silence. They could shut you out and just pretend that you're not around as a way to use this as a weapon against you. Okay, so the benevolent aspect of that. Did I mention for the water dominant, you need to look to your moon, look to your moon sign, look to your Neptune, moon and Neptune. See where those are in your chart. What signs they're in, and what signs they're in, and what houses they're in. Okay, so for Earth, it will be your Saturn. Look to your Saturn. Okay, the wisdom that the Earth dominant energy would bring, it would be you're steadfast, you efficient. Everything you do has efficiency. Okay, these people, you are very well respected. You have honor because these people, because of the Saturnian nature, because they're so sturdy. These people are, you're good at upholding the frame, the societal expectation, the traditions, so that makes you a very very dependable. You have a very set as understanding of what is right and what is wrong. So when you live by those code of honor, you become someone who's well respected. People know what to expect of you. Okay, people understand you better and know what you are made of. All right, and what else I could say? Yeah, so these people have strong values. They are very hardworking. They have strength. They have discipline. These people could have good habits because they could stay the course every day. Very fruitful, responsible, endurance, durable. You could have longevity. Okay, and all right. So that was it. That was a long go. And as promised, I said that I was gonna give you some resources for those of you who wanna go at it alone. Um, Here's some resources for you if you if you want to go into a self-study until you could work with a coach. You could work with me, you could work with someone else, or see a therapist, or and stuff like that. So here's where you'll start. There's a couple of books. I'll just tell you who they are, what they are, and the author, and you could go look them up. Most of them you can find on Amazon or your local Barnes and Nobles. The first one I want to direct you to is The Fifth Element. It's written by Dundee Dowlin. It's DONDIDAHLIN. The Fifth Elements. The Five Elements. The Five Elements. The second one would be, and I love this one, I read it several times. It says, what your aches and pains are telling you. This one, if you are a body worker, you're an energy healer, you're a massage therapist, you're a physical therapist, you're in the medical field, and you are in the healing field in any way, shape, or form. There's a lot of very concise data about how the body works, and and how you hide pains, and the spiritual understanding of what those are. Very, very, very good book. It's written by Michelle O'Doul. It's M-I-L. No, sorry. It's M-I-C-H-E-L. O'Doul is O-D-O-U-L. Michelle O'Doul. So the name of the book, one more time, is What Your Aches and Pains Are Telling You. That's the name of the book. The third one, another favorite of mine, it's called The Wisdom of the Body. Oh, I love this book. I love this book. Okay, The Wisdom of the Body is written by Hilary McBride. So it's Hilari, and Hilary L. McBride. It's McBride. And third one that I love also, I haven't read that one in a while. I need to review that one. It's Metaphysical Anatomy of Your Body. It says, sorry. The name of the book is Metaphysical Anatomy, and the sub of the title is Your Body is Talking to You. Are you listening? Metaphysical Anatomy, Your Body is Talking to You. Are you listening? That one is awesome too. This one, it tells you more about the emotional and spiritual root cause of different diseases. It goes into bloodline. It goes into curses. It goes into a lot of stuff. So go look through that and see what that can do for you. So the person who wrote this book is Everett Rose. Everette. Rose like the flower. Everett Rose. I love the book, and I have not read it in a long time. And then the last one, last but not least, if you are somebody who's who's been through some stuff. Like I'm talking about trauma, military, PTSD, rape, um, that sort of things, being shot, like those things that, that pierce through your body, leave scars, physical scars and emotional scars that, that are more sticky. You need to read that one. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. I can't remember who wrote the book, but it is awesome. There's a lot of psychology and psychotherapy involved in that. The body keeps the score. So those are the 5 ones. Um, oh, another one about that you could start if you want to do shadow work. It would be The Dark Side of Light Chasers. I don't remember who wrote it. I have the book, I have it in audio, and I can't remember the name of the author. The Dark Side of Light Chasers. Yeah, so those are the resources I have for you, and you know where to find me. I'll be in the link. I'll be in the comment section, and yeah, say hello, and I hope you like this. And I will see you again soon. Bye.